Hello chaps and chapettes. Now, as a gamer, I'm sure that you've played a game that you've lost diabolically at, but yet you've jumped straight back in and played it again. And I'm sure that you've played a game that as you're playing, you see this strategy and then you see another strategy and you think, well, next time I play it, I'm going to try that strategy. Wait a minute, I've just found another strategy. And you play it again. Now, again, I'm sure as a gamer, you've played a game where you've been taunted by your friends and they've really made you angry, but you go back and you replay the game again with the same friends. These are the games as gamers that we love. These are the games as gamers that we can't stop playing. Can't stop playing? Can't. The object of Can't Stop is for a player to get 3 of their camp tokens up on 3 of the different mountain summits. At the beginning of the game, each player will choose a colour and take the 10 camp tokens of that colour. You'll choose a start player and they will take the 4 dice and the 3 mountain party tokens too. So our start player will roll the 4 dice and then they will pair up the dice to get different results. The results that they want, hopefully. So here we could pair the 1 and the 5 to give us 6 and the 2 and the 3 to give us 5, or we could do an 8 and a 3, or we could do a 7 and a 4. This player is going to choose to do the 7 and the 4. So these numbers will correspond to the mountain peak that you're trying to climb. So in this player's case, they will take one of their parties and place it on the 4 and on the 7 to start the ascend. Now this player could stop, but that would be futile because they still have a mountaineering party that they can still add to the mountain. So they roll again and then do the same again. Try and pair up and find a good number. So here we have a 4 and a 12. The 4 means that this mountain party can mount 1 space, and the 12 means that they can, if they wish to, add this mountain party to the 12 if they wish, which they do. So our player can now decide to continue to keep climbing the mountain because they can't stop, which means that they'll roll the dice. But if they roll the dice, they need to move at least one of their mountain parties. And luck would have it, they cannot move any of their mountain parties. Oh yes they can. I can't count. There's a 7, which means that this guy can move. But if that wasn't a 7, and we had worse luck than anything else, all of our mountain parties would be removed. But rewind, this player decides that they are not going to continue pushing their luck, and they're actually going to pass the game over to someone else. They'll replace their mountain parties with their base camps, and play continues to the next player. So play will go around the table, and when it comes back to the first player or yourself, you can start new parties or you can continue parties which are already camped. Just remember, if you ever bust and can't move one of your mountaineering parties, you will go back to your previous camp. If a player ever reaches a summit and decides to stop, they place their base camp on the top summit space and all other players' camps were removed from that mountain peak. As mentioned earlier, if a player has 3 camps on 3 of the mountain peaks, they win the game. So before I go into my personal review of the game, telling you how good it is or how bad it is, let's do a technical review. What are you getting for your money? You're getting one kind of sturdy piece of paper which explains the rules. There's no diagrams, there's no images, but you'll find that you don't really need it. It's written very well, it's very clear because it is quite a simple game. It's the mechanisms themselves are quite simple to explain. There's even a little variant there. And there's some publicity. You're getting a double-sided board. Yes, there is alternative art. No change to the game, unfortunately. You're getting a bunch of player discs, wooden discs, which are thick, light, wooden dice, which are kind of your regular wooden dice, and then these nice die-cut wooden people, which, you know, they could have been something done with these discs. They could have been tents, or they could have been discs with a picture of a tent on it. But all in all, you'll pick this game up, you'll understand it. It's functional. It's not very attractive to look at, but it's functional. The mechanisms themselves are very simple. In fact, it's the players which make this game more interesting and interactive as they, you know, push their luck or don't push their luck, and people laugh when people fail. And that is the game. Technically, that is it. And I would only give it, on presentation wise, a 7 out of 10, which is not too bad. Could have had some upgraded components or just slightly different, cheaper, cost efficient components, but as it stands, that is it. So how do I personally feel about the game? How does this game emanate with me? So Can't Stop is a board game that everybody should acknowledge as a great classic, and that's what it is. This is quite an old game. This is from 1980, but this has had many kind of like revisions. As you can see, this has a theme of mountaineering, whereas some of the other versions of the game were kind of just abstract, climbing up charts just to get to the top. But I feel that the theme comes through really well, and it does help with the explanation of like the base camps, and then the climbing up the mountains to get to the different mountain peaks. Works really, really well. As I said in the technical review, the mechanisms are really simple. People can pick this up. You don't have to be an expert gamer. You could just be a novice gamer who used to play Uno. You would pick this up quite easy. It's just that simple kind of roll with the dice, luck of the dice, but then doing the addition, which makes you feel that you have some kind of control over the dice to win the game and do this kind of like race. It is technically a race. You're racing with dice, but it's not roll and move. It is kind of roll and move. Again, as I said in the technical review, the components are okay. But the thing is, when you're playing the game, you don't care about the components. You just care about what's happening at the table when everyone is rolling dice and you're like, they go past all of your base camps and they keep going and they keep rolling. You're like, stop, or fail. And it's that ambience that the game, just these 4 dice build around the table. With you playing 2, 3, or 4 players, there is always this real kind of like anxiousness as you want someone to fail, or you want just someone to stop just that little bit in front of you so you can zoom past them. I would say there is some kind of skill in the game in regards to which mountains you're going to start climbing at the same time, because I think that helps in the way that if you roll the dice, you can just make pretty much these numbers all the time. I mean, 7 will normally crop up most of the time, but you're going to want a number which is below that, maybe around about the 4 or the 5, and then you're going to need a number above that just in case you get lots of 6s and 5s. And that always kind of like helps, but sometimes that can fall ass over tit and you just lose anyway because you got too cocky and you just pushed your luck too much. That's the thing about the game. It's like they've gone this. It's like Keeping Up with the Joneses. They've cut their grass. You've got to cut your grass and plant some roses. And so they cut the grass, they plant some roses, and then they paint their windows. I don't know. It's just that game where you always want to stay one step ahead of the other player and then just make that last minute leap to the end. Exciting race. The games are pretty quick. You're not going to have a game which goes on for hours upon end unless everyone just keeps rolling the dice and busting. But you'll find that some people will play logically, some people will play kind of chancily, and if that's a real word, and fun is just had. I mean, it's not serious fun, it's not the end of the world if you lose, but this is a game that you do come back and you want to play again. This is a game that you can break out, as I said, with anybody. You can break it out with young kids and they will get it. And again, it's good, it teaches them math, you know, a couple of dice, adding them together, and then okay, figuring out which man they're going to move, which mountain they're going to start climbing. So there you go, Can't Stop, a small, fun, family light game which is intriguingly fun, which I'm going to give an 8 out of 10 for with my Board Game Geek score. My Board Game Geek, it says it's very good, I would play it a lot, and I would recommend it. All words to that effect. Go check out Board Game Geek. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you know someone that might appreciate learning a bit about this game, share this video with them. And of course, you can go to boardgameseverybodyshould.com and check out everything else that I've been getting up to, the Kickstarters that I'm having the privilege to look at first glance, and of course other board game reviews much like this one. So go there, go to my Patreon as well, check out my Patreon. Board Games Everybody Should, if you wish to donate a little bit of money to help me out in the production of these videos. And also, you'll enter yourself into my monthly prize draw, give you a chance to win a game or some promos or a CD soundtrack. So there you go. Thanks very much for watching. I'll say ciao for now, and please, 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 please be nice to each other at the table.
Just sitting at the table next to Felicia.